Chapter 5, Swamplands and Gods. As the party was getting ready to go to sleep for the night, Latia was filled with more thoughts and decided to say a prayer of protection for everyone. Latia, may this night be a magical night, and may all the gods who dwell in the world above guide our path through the day and protect us through the night. Tenneth, going for the generic prayer tonight, eh? He said with a smile. Latia, yes, though I am a follower of Shyla, the half-elf wanderer, I believe in the power of all the gods that we mortals here worship. I believe they are all worthy of our respect, if not our praise. Tenneth, well, as a cleric of Ilana, goddess of the forests, I concur, Latia. I too believe they are all worthy of our respect and devotion, and I believe Ilana would agree with me if she were here. Nightwind, I had no idea there were half-elf deities. I assumed you worshipped an elven deity, or a human, or both. Latia, I did. My human mother also worshipped Ilana, and my father is a follower of Corellin Lerthian, god of magic, music, arts, crafts, and poetry. As Latia said each word, she counted them on her fingers. Lightmane, Corellin is also the god of warfare, and said to be the creator of the first elves in Forestera. Latia, oh no, really, warfare? I had never heard that. Why warfare? That seems so contrary to his other aspects. Lightmane, yes, warfare. I'm not sure why, but I'm sure there's a reason it's part of his title. Latia, is he the one you follow? Lightmane, I follow all of the elven gods, in a sense. That is, I don't hold one in higher esteem of another. They are all important, I feel, among the pantheon of deities that are worshipped and followed throughout the world. They all play an important role. At least that's what I believe. Nightwind, Clangeddon Silverbeard, also known as Giant Killer and Goblin Bane. Seems to me the Wood Elves should offer up some prayers to him. Latia, I take it he's a dwarven deity. I don't think there's any point in a Wood Elf praying to a dwarven god. Nightwind, perhaps, but it couldn't hurt. Tenneth, is Clangeddon your god, Nightwind? Nightwind, Clangeddon Silverbeard. We never just say his first name. I have prayed to our gods at times. I am uncertain if it matters, let alone if they even care. Tenneth, isn't it Moradin who created the dwarves? Nightwind, aye, that it is. Well, that's the story. Who really knows? But yes, it is believed that Moradin created the first dwarves deep in the mountains to the east, far underground, and we've been mining in those mountains ever since. There are many dwarves who live in the mountains. There aren't nearly as many of us here in the west, though. Latia, there aren't a lot of any of the races here in the west, except for the humans, of course. It's getting late, though. We should get some sleep, but I hope we can talk about this again some evening. Let's just hope nothing wakes us during the night. Nothing did, and it never got so cold that they needed a fire. The night was uneventful, and they continued to receive benefits of the blessing from the shrine. Their sleep was better. They felt more rested and alert in the morning, and they set out down the north road into the swamp. Visions of treasures danced in their minds as they walked. The forest ran along to their right. The road made it a lot easier to walk, having been elevated just enough out of the swamp. It was wet, but at least they were walking on ground instead of in water. Jack stepped off to the right. Chinfia, Jack, what are you doing? Jack, I just wanted to see how deep it is. It's only like 6 inches or so not too bad. Nightwind, I believe the further you get from the road, the deeper it might get, and it's probably crawling with snakes, and who knows what else. Interesting how the forest and the swamp here are basically one, yet off to our left it's more open and less forest. Lightmane, yes, interesting terrain, to be sure. I'm guessing the moat house is up around those trees in the distance. Up ahead, the road turned west again, and on either side of them there were 2 very large ponds, with trees everywhere, and just beyond those trees they could see the moat house. The water was dark and murky looking, and looked quite ominous as they walked between the 2 large ponds. They couldn't make out the moat house very well from here, but they saw a large section of the outer wall had completely collapsed on one side. Rubble was everywhere. Beyond the ponds, the road turned to the right and went to the entrance of the outer wall of the moat house. Jack, snakes, huh? You think snakes live in this pond? Latia, Jack, look out! Phileas cried out, What in the world is that? Out of the pond, a giant frog leaped out of the water and landed on Jack, knocking him to the ground. It turned its head, and its tongue lashed out of its mouth like a whip and grabbed Phileas around his waist. Nightwind was about to attack it when another one leaped out of the pond and landed right by him. Latia cast her earthbow spell, and a bow appeared out of thin air, hovering next to her. Jack was dazed and injured and bleeding from his collision with the giant frog, but managed to move out of the way and stand back up. Everyone else moved to attack. Latia, what in the world? Giant frogs? Everyone was panicking at the sight of giant frogs, but instinctively went into combat mode. Lightmane swung his sword at the frog that had Phileas, but it glanced off of it. Latia fired her bow, while her earth bow also fired. Her arrow flew off target, but the arrow from the earth bow landed in its side, slightly injuring it. Phileas felt himself being pulled in fast, but luckily was able to cast his Burning Hand spell, hitting the giant frog right in its face, just as Shinfia also swung her staff and hit it on its side. The frog let go of Phileas, turned and leaped back into the water. Nightwind swung his axe at the other frog, while Belfin attacked it from the side. His axe just grazed it, but the frog apparently saw Belfin, turned and opened its mouth and grabbed him. Screaming, he tried to get free, but the frog immediately closed its mouth and swallowed him. Screams came from everyone. Tenneth brought his mace down on its head, hitting it square, just as Jack cast Magic Missile, which injured it further. It tried to turn as if to jump into the pond, but the added weight of Belfin, along with its injuries, slowed it greatly. Latia screamed, "Oh my God, don't let it get away!" Just then, another frog leaped out of the water, landing about 10 feet from them. Shinfia screamed, "Another one? How many of these things are there?" Lightmane yelling, "Let's hope that's the last one," and he cast Magic Missile at the injured one. As Lightmane said that, the other frog lashed its tongue out at Nightwind. It grabbed him, but Nightwind brought his axe down on its tongue, severing it, and immediately it leapt back into the pond. Latia fired another arrow, as did her earth bow. This time both arrows hit, just as the frog tried to leap back into the water, but instead fell off the road and just laid there. Jack, "Is it dead? We have to get him out of there. He could still be alive." They jumped into the swamp and grabbed its mouth and looked inside. Lightmane, "I see his arm. Help me." Lightmane reached inside the frog's mouth and grabbed Belfin's hand. He didn't grab back, though, which greatly worried him. Lightmane yelled, "Help me pull him out." There was slime everywhere, but somehow they were able to pull Belfin out of the frog. He wasn't responding, though. Tenneth immediately checked him. Tenneth, "He's alive, but unconscious. I'll cast Cure Light Wounds, but then we need to move away from here immediately. No telling if more will attack." They picked up Belfin and moved back about 100 feet down the road. Jack, though conscious, didn't look good. The collision with the giant frog left quite a gash across his face, arm, and leg, and he bent over in pain. Tenneth went over to him and cast another Cure Light Wound spell. Jack, "Thanks." Tenneth, "That's my last one. We need to rest and get our spells back before going any further." Latia, "Agreed, but we're not going anywhere until Belfin can walk too." Tenneth, "Of course. Not sure what I was thinking. My God, giant frogs? What's next? Giant snakes?" Jack, "Oh, let's hope not." Man, my head hurts. Glad I was able to get that spell off. Guess adrenaline kicked in. Or maybe the shrine's blessing helped. Belfin started coming around. They all gathered around him. Shinfia, how you feeling? You okay? Belfin, where am I? Wait, was I just eaten by a frog? I saw him eat me. What happened? Nightwind, he ate you, but we killed him and pulled you out. Belfin, pulled me out? You pulled me out of a giant frog. What? How am I still alive? Nightwind, I guess he just swallowed you and didn't bite. That's all I got. I'm sure you would have been dead any moment, though, had it lived. Phileas, I'm glad I was able to hit mine with my burning hand spell. Had it gotten my arms, I'm probably swallowed too. The party just laid there on the damp road, not really sure what to do next or where to go. It was a little over an hour walk back to dry ground. They tended to their wounds, and after a while, Belfin assured them that he could walk. So they decided to head back to where they camped the previous night. There they ate and rested and healed some more, and took the time to get back all their spells. Latia started looking around. Latia, there's still plenty of daylight left. I say we go to the moat house now. If only we could avoid those ponds. Shinfia, yes, but if they attack us again, they won't collide into us this time. Jack, I'm sorry. Shinfia, no, Jack, that's not what I meant. I meant they won't catch you by surprise now. There was nothing you could do. Good thing they didn't land on anyone else. Belfin, or jump back into the water with me in its belly. Shinfia, that too. I wonder how many giant frogs are in those ponds. Belfin, hey, we can always just camp out there and count them as they jump out of the water. Latia, smiling, good to see you in good spirits after almost being eaten by one. Belfin, I was eaten. Well, swallowed, but not digested, he said, smiling. That conversation brought a little laughter, which lifted their spirits. They all gathered themselves and headed back towards the moat house. Sheila, so what's for dinner? Bale, fish. Sheila, what kind? Bale, frog legs. Sheila, frog legs? Ick, that's not fish. Bale, just kidding. Rainbow trout. Sheila, yay, what else? Bale, soup and some vegetables. Sheila waited for Bale to say more, but he didn't. Sheila, hello, Forestera to Bale. Bale, oh, sorry, vegetable soup, some bread, and green beans. Sheila, nice, but no mashed potatoes and gravy? Bale, with rainbow trout? Sheila, sure, why not? Better than with frog legs. By the way, does anyone eat the rest of the frog, or just their legs? Bale, are these the things you wonder about when you lay in bed at night? Sheila, I wonder about a lot of things, but I'm sure glad you were turned into a dog thingy instead of a frog thingy. Bale, oh good lord. Sheila had created a most unique device for Bale. It was basically some specially designed silverware which attached to his paws in such a way that it allowed him to eat almost like a normal person, so that he didn't have to eat like a dog out of a bowl on the floor. Bale, I want to thank you again for making this marvelous device for me. Being able to eat at the table with you is very much preferred, so thank you. Sheila, you're welcome. Ribbit. Bale let go of his specially made silverware. They clanged hard against the table and fell to the floor. He once again put his head in his paws and sighed. Sheila just smiled.